Hello, I'm Monty Stone. I'm the producer and author of The Ring Disc, an interactive guide to Wagner's Ring Cycle, and I also wrote this book, Hitler's Wagner, which debunks all the nonsense about Richard Wagner being responsible for Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. I hope you'll stay tuned here for news about my upcoming courses on the music of Wagner's Ring. But that's enough about me for now. Let's get straight to the heart of the matter. Did Richard Wagner invent music for farts? Well, Dr. Professor Mark Wagner is convinced that he did. Let's have a look. Page 214. An incident during the rehearsals to the first complete performance of the Ring Cycle in 1876 reveals that Wagner thought of Mime as a foul-smelling creature. When Karl Schlosser, the singer portraying the dwarf, failed to hobble about and scratch his back with the requisite verisimilitude in the Nibelheim scene of Das Rheingold, Wagner exclaimed to the man, "You can extend the scratching of your back and heartily scratch your ass. The piccolo has such suspicious little trills anyway." Wagner was joking, of course, but jokes are telling. Unwittingly and yet consistently, Wagner may have been the first composer to invent music for farts. I'm sorry, but every time I read this, it just cracks me up. Was Wagner 8 years old when he wrote this? There are some pretty serious issues regarding Wagner's use of the word scratch here, and we'll get to that in a moment. For now, let's just have a little fun with this piccolo trills equals farts drivel. Now, there are two rather ridiculous notions at play here. First, Dr. Wagner's theory stipulates that ass scratching and flatulence go hand in hand. Apparently, one can't occur without the other. Well, I don't know about you, but I can bloody well scratch my backside without flatulating, and I'll bet you can too. Why don't we all try it? Everybody up! Commence ass scratching. Now, be seated. Did anyone fart? Anyone? I didn't think so. Now, conversely, Dr. Wagner considers it a given that whenever one flatulates, one is seized with an irrepressible urge to scratch oneself. Well, here again, I don't know about you, but whenever I fart, about once a month or so, I am never compelled to scratch my backside, and I'll bet you aren't either. Secondly, Dr. Wagner postulates that a piccolo trill is the perfect musical device for illustrating flatulence. Think about that for a minute. Richard Wagner used the orchestra to conjure up raging storms, horses neighing, pounding hoofbeats, rivers flowing, and even the birth of the cosmos itself. This composer would use a piccolo trill to depict farts. It's as if Wagner had never heard of the tuba. In the immortal words of Anna Russell, "I'm not making this up, you know." Let's have a look at the Rheingold orchestral score. Don't worry if you don't read music. We're going to have audio in just a couple of seconds. The passage we're dealing with appears on pages 178 and 179. Here you see the piccolo part begins on the second stack in the top staff, where you see the blue mark. The suspicious piccolo trills begin after 5 bars rest and continue on to the next page, a total of 4 bars. As you can see, the piccolo trills are at the top of a cacophonous orchestra with the other instruments playing all the important bits. Okay, now let's give this a listen. Now, class, let's have a show of hands, shall we? Did anyone hear farts? Anybody? Well, feel free to listen again as many times as you need. Nobody? I didn't think so. Now, about this scratching business. The stage directions in the score state, streicht sich den Rücken. The German verb streichen translates to the English as strokes or rubs, not scratches. So the stage direction should translate as he rubs his back. He rubs his back. The most highly respected English translations of Wagner's Ring are by Andrew Porter and Stuart Spencer. Both of these render the stage directions here as he rubs his back. He rubs his back. This makes perfect sense because the words Mima has just sung are a sob story about how laboriously he worked on creating the Tarnhelm for Mima, and he got no thanks for it. So he rubs his back because it's sore from all the thankless labor. He rubs his back. Did Dr. Wagner, professor of German studies, even read the libretto in English or German? Now, a word about sourcing protocol. The rabid and confirmation-biased anti-Wagnerians are all very well schooled in the fine art of highly selective, disingenuous, and sometimes outright bogus sourcing. And they invariably bury potentially embarrassing information about their sources in the endnotes. I picked apart quite a few of these in my book, and I'm afraid Dr. Wagner is no exception. Let's have a look at Wagner's endnote for this ass-scratching piccolo trill business. After an incident recorded by Heinrich Porges and quoted in Gregor Dellen's Richard Wagner 4:26, I have modified this translation. He modified the translation. He changed the word. He modified the very meaning of the sentence, presumably because scratch sounds a little more flatulent than rub. I don't know, but it gets even worse. Gregor Dellen did not cite Porges for this incident. Porges isn't even in Gregor Dellen's bibliography. And you guessed it, this little incident is nowhere to be found in Porges's book. Let's have a quick review, shall we? The assumption that a hand placed on one's backside invariably produces flatulence and vice versa is roll on the floor ludicrous. It's very likely that Wagner never even looked at a Rheingold orchestral score and probably couldn't read it even if he did. It's doubtful he even knows that the piccolo part appears at the top of the staves. He could easily have provided a page number to the score for his readers, but he didn't because he knew that would blow his whole theory out of the water. It appears he never even listened to the music he was writing about because no sane person would hear farts in it. He modified the standard translation of a German verb, thus changing the entire meaning of the sentence, and buried that fact in his endnotes. And lastly, his citation for the story is totally bogus. So we've had a little fun here, debunking the more ridiculous notions of the rabid anti-Wagnerians is a fun hobby, but it's a bit like shooting fish in a barrel. Unfortunately, there are quite a lot of fish and not very many shooters like me. Obviously, anyone who postulates that 4 bars of piccolo trills atop a noisy, cacophonous orchestra is music for farts has forfeited the right to be taken seriously. But that's not really why I'm here. My real life's work is the music of Wagner's Ring. I mentioned my work earlier in this broadcast, the Ring Disc. The New York Times said the Ring Disc is the most complete, accessible, and sophisticated guide to the ring ever created. An amazing tool. A host of other publications, including BBC Magazine, Newsweek, and Gramophone, express similar sentiments. This silly bit about fart music was just a way to get your attention. What I'm really doing is I'm developing some online video courses on the ring. I'll be distilling some of the information from the ring disc and adding a lot more detail. I'll be posting some examples here in this space so you can have a look sometime in the near future. I hope you'll have a look. So I hope you'll come back soon. If I have your email address, you'll get an alert when something new is posted here. And of course, kind words of encouragement are always welcome. So, hoyo to ho for now, and I hope to see you again in the near future.